This is your friendly neighborhood atheist. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ask an Atheist. I'm your host, Ethan, and my guest for the evening is none other than Brian, aka BrainBug, one of the regulars from the YFNA community and guest host from The Perspective, who also has his own channel where he talks about bugs.
I sure do. Yeah. We learn science with bugs over at the BrainBug YouTube channel. So if you aren't subscribed, go check it out.
So yeah, he's not just an atheist. There are many other things. And that's one of the things I'd like to do with this channel is show all the different interests we as atheists have. So jumping right in, Brian, why are you an atheist?
Just by happenstance, my parents were actually pretty secular. So I was not really brought up with a lot of religion. I was exposed to it, by the community that I grew up in, which was very religious, but I kind of shrugged it off and didn't really think about it as a serious thing until I got older. Then I did go through a period where I dabbled in some spiritualism and that kind of thing to try to confirm things, but that made me the jaded atheist that I am today.
I considered you jaded. I couldn't picture you being into like woo of any kind.
Yeah, I'm kind of a different person than I was back then. All around, I was a pretty. I thought I was more cooler than I think I really was. But I went through like a sort of gothy new age that kind of thing. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. There's pictures of me wearing eyeliner and black lipstick and stuff.
Ryan,
I had a mohawk that was like this. That was like this high. At one point.
What are the chances that you can get me that photo while we're streaming so I can put it on the screen?
Oh, I'd have to take it out. I don't worry. These are. Well, you're my age, these are pictures from before everything was digital. They're actually like in a shoebox.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The crappy old quality photos.
Yes.
I pretty much invented the selfie. I have an old one of me standing in front of the bathroom mirror. And of course the flash, messes it up so you can't actually see me. Well, you can see my hair. That's about it. I used to have like long hair down to here, wear baggy jeans, total grunger dude.
Yeah. Oh, I had some, what were the pipes or the Jinko jeans with the big chains and stuff on them. Yes,
dude. Yeah. I also had a chain wallet, man. I had the same wallet for like 14 years, literally like 14 years because I don't like change. So I remember I was struggling to give up my wallet. I'm like, dude, I've had this thing for so long. I couldn't bring myself to switch, but I finally did.
When I wore looking back on it, those jeans with the chains and stuff all over them, I would get stuck on doorknobs and drawers. And when I was walking through narrow areas,
you're like walking and then you're like, oh, and you get cold because it catches on something.
Yeah. Yeah. Kristen said emo. I think I was a little bit too old for emo. That was like the people that were a little bit younger than me. I would have considered myself, if you'd asked me at the time, I'd have said I was like a metalhead or something. I would have identified myself like that. But I listened to like heavy metal and did Ouija boards and all that goofy stuff. And we'd go into like old abandoned houses and stuff and try to summon spirits and all kinds of kooky stuff.
Yeah, I have some old ghost stories I've been wanting to share on The Perspective. But we've had some really good callers. I haven't had time to go into my ghost stories.
We haven't had a vamp in a while.
No, we haven't. That's a good thing, man. Like, think about like when we first started, like we would be lucky if we had one call. And now, not that it's perfect every week, but now we're actually like have several callers, and it's like, dude, this is awesome. and you've been a part of that, and you help
Yes.
responsible. Like you definitely add credibility to the YFNA community and the perspective.
Well, I appreciate that. I try to doing all that stuff. And like I said, it made me. I said jaded. I'm tongue in cheek there, of course, because I still enjoy looking into it. If I hear something about a UFO sighting or a Bigfoot sighting or something like that, I'm all over it. I subscribe to several YouTube channels that debut new UFO footage and stuff, because I like to look at them and try to figure out what it is. That's a pleasure I get.
I'm a part, ever since doing the perspective, I came a part of so many different groups, aliens, Bigfoot, paranormal, and I'm constantly posting in those groups looking for, people to call and share their experiences with us.
Yeah. There's some interesting stories. I follow some of those groups too. We're in those groups together. So yeah, we see some interesting stories, and there's some kooky stories too, but take what you can get.
If I recall, and Cookie, correct me if I'm wrong, you were one of the people that strongly recommended BrainBug because of his pleasant demeanor. And you've always been, I will say, the first time I ever saw you get serious was with that, was it Darth, or was it the guy or Catholic traditionalist? I don't remember which it was, but you were just like, nope. And I was just like, damn, go Brian, man. That was awesome.
Yeah. My demeanor, what I try to project out, especially when I'm communicating with people that I don't know any other than this, is I try to engage everyone like I am engaging students in a class.
That is a great mentality.
Because if you're engaging like a student, I'm not patronizing them, because a good teacher will also listen to what the students say back to them. They're not just a good teacher is not just, this is the way it is. But when someone gets unruly, you do have to be like, okay, listen, this is not how we have discourse in this environment. We don't take it there. We respect each other while we talk.
That's why you're perfect for the perspective. So Brian, why is atheist activism important to you?
Well, because there are a lot of causes that religion can kind of cloud your judgment on, like say environmental causes, which are very important to me. When you're religious, if you think that this is just a stepping stone to a greater place, you don't feel any obligation to take care of this. If you think that you're going to have a second chance with the people in your life, you don't cherish the time that you have with them. So there was, I want to share an incident here with you to kind of explain why it is, because I grew up in rural Missouri. It was very, very religious. My dad passed away in 2011. And my sister's pastor spoke at his funeral. Now, my dad was a agnostic atheist all his life. The pastor got up there and, without missing a beat, just assumed that everybody was on board with, he was an atheist, so he's going to hell unless he repented on his last. This is at my dad's funeral. This guy standing up there talking. Unless he repented, we all know he's in hell. And I'm like, no, I don't believe in hell. He didn't believe in hell. He wouldn't have changed that position on his deathbed. And it is wrong that I'm in this community. And you just assume that that's okay to say because you think everybody is following your religion. So we need a voice in the public to say, please do not push your religious ideology on the community. There's a time and place for that, and I think that's the heaviest point that we can put down as an atheist activist.
Well said. So how did you get into science and bugs?
So when I was a lad, I had a bit of an eidetic memory. I had a bit of an eidetic memory, so I could It's a way that I can to remember information. It's sort of in an area of your brain differently than other people. I wish I still had it. It kind of fades off when you get into your 20s. But the way you can absorb information, I could read like science papers and science books and stuff, and absorb the information and retain it. It's still in there, and it goes up to about 2007. So I have a library in my head of old science information. The problem with it being science information, though, is that it gets outdated. So a lot of the
Very
stuff
quickly.
So, but that, I now I have to actually work for it like a normal person. But that was what got me into it. The same thing with with music and stuff. It was the way that I could remember things made it easy to absorb that kind of information if I was interested in it. So I spent a lot of time learning about animal ecology, and a lot of times, like when the internet was still young, I was in a lot of groups and forums and stuff about ecology and animals, and would go over papers with people, and we'd argue about papers and have debates about papers, and so that gave me like a robust foundation of just kind of understanding how the scientific process works and how the peer review process works, which I then started when YouTube kind of started getting its momentum. But I would think 2010 or so, I started following like some different atheist YouTubers. R and Raw was around back then, and a few other people, but and it just started to kind of click together that that the information that I was able to garner in critical thinking was very applicable to science communication, and kind of debunking some of this pseudoscience that the ideas were built on, mainly religious ideas. And again, I'm in the Midwest, so it was evangelical ideology, young Earth creationism, and stuff like that I really found myself up against. I went to a high school where they didn't believe in evolution. I had, every biology teacher that I ever had, they only covered evolution 2 years in my school, through my primary school. So they covered it in 8th grade, and then we covered it again in 10th grade. And both of those teachers told me while they were moving into that subject that I don't believe in this. I'm telling you because I have to. I think this is a lie. The teacher told you that. Yeah.
Like, why? What would be the purpose of creating this big lie?
Yeah, there's no reason for it. They just I've never heard a good reason for it. I shouldn't say there's no reason for it, because that's I haven't considered all the reasons that there could be for that, but I haven't heard anything presented that would be substantial. It's the same thing that you hear about why people are atheists, because we want to sin or whatever. So we want a world without God, I think, is the main response that I hear, that it's a conspiracy so that we can exist in a world without God.
That's just wild. The hoops people will jump through to keep their beliefs.
Yeah, it's taken a long time to even to get this recognized on the mainstream, because of this country, at least since the beginning of the Cold War, has been very very religious, and swinging hard that direction. We've just now started going back the other way, where we're starting to accept science, and there's a lot of resistance to it. So there is a lot of, if you, and I like to remind everybody, I don't have any science degree. The stuff I went to school with was all medical stuff. So you don't have to be a scientist. You just have to be, if you're able to speak competently, if you understand these fields. We need people out there talking about this stuff and normalizing these scientific concepts, deep time, evolution, abiogenesis. If you understand these fields, put your voice out there, because there's because for every person that's putting their voice out there right now, in the name of science, there's 10 people out there spreading pseudoscience. So we need each and every one of you.
I recently was disagreeing with a guy who was like, I don't get the purpose of being an active atheist. Like, what is there to fight against? Like, he didn't understand. Like, and when I pointed out like young Earth creation, he's like, well, that's not a big deal. Nobody believes that. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I am in apologist circles of people who believe that and still preach that.
Well, we had the vice president for 4 years was a young Earth creationist. Mike Pence is a young Earth creationist.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's painful.
He tried to he tried to legislate that because he's I believe there's a quote out there. Anybody in the chat out there, if I'm wrong, tell me, where he said that evolution was just a theory. Like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember that happening.
So I'm glad Cookie Chris brought this question up. Is Pluto a planet or not?
No, it's not.
Why?
Well, because so they changed the definition of a planet, or I shouldn't say they changed it. They've tightened it up to a certain mass level. So if we were to keep Pluto as a planet, we'd also have to accept Circe, which is in the asteroid belt. And there's a few more out there beyond Pluto, I can't think of the name of. But even Pluto's moon, Charon, is almost as big as it is. It's a binary system with Pluto. So in order to we would either have to, the reason they redefined it is because we were either going to have to cut it down to 8 and remove Pluto, or we were going to have to add the rest of these heavenly bodies that were actually larger than Pluto, and we'd end up with 13, I believe was the number.
So why isn't it a planet though? Doesn't it have like and forgive me, I'm not as sciencey as you, but like, doesn't it have an atmosphere?
Pluto? I don't think it has much of an atmosphere.
Well, then all right, how do you decide what is a planet and what's not a planet? Like, is there a certain amount of gravity that goes into it? Like,
well,
characteristics.
Any heavenly body has gravity. You have gravity. Like if you were in a vacuum, you'd have gravity around you. That's why if you put if you shake water loose in like a space shuttle, it'll bead back together because the water has its own gravity. It's pulling against itself. So everything has gravity. So that's not a good measurement. So what they've done is they've defined it as having enough gravity to compress the planet into a sphere by mass, and there's other criteria too. That's the one that the main one that comes. And Pluto is basically spherical, but its mass is not high enough, and its orbit is not proper, I believe, either to under the new definition of what is a planet.
Learn something new. Going back to what you had said about peer-reviewed papers, we'll often see people ask for peer-reviewed papers. Why? What is the importance of it? And if so, what is it?
Okay, so peer review is how it's basically how science works in the modern day. So peer review are journals that you submit your work to, and then other people in your field can review that information and either agree with it or disagree with it. So you basically pass the paper around, and everybody puts their name on it to say, yes, I reviewed this and this makes sense. I understand that. So I guess I should explain what a paper is. So a paper is a review of a data set. So you get a data set and you evaluate the information in it. Well, first you get the data set and you make a hypothesis about what you're going to understand about it. And then you make that, which is prediction essentially. Okay. And then you run your test, or you review your numbers, look at your data, and you basically see if you've proved your hypothesis or if you falsified it. But either way, you process a conclusion, and then someone else will take that paper and look over the data and then look at what you interpreted from the data and decide whether they agree with you or not. And if they disagree with you, then they overturn your paper.
So how do you know, I guess, what is reliable peer-reviewed paper versus an unreliable peer-reviewed paper? Like, from my understanding, I recently heard there was this Christian school that created their own peer review process. So how do we distinguish between the two?
Well, there's several journals that are accredited journals. which basically means that the scientific community has approved them as producing properly vetted information. But even good paper or good journals are going to have papers that are, and again, it's just because of the process, papers that get published in them that are bad, that have bad methodology, but that's part of the process because those are the papers that get thrown out. The space octopus paper, for one, is one that kind of falls into that category. Yes, some bad science, some bad. You don't remember that from the Matt Powell movie?
Oh, yeah, could you expand on that a little bit so people watching?
Oh yeah, because not everybody might not
Exactly.
have saw that. Yeah, so there was basically a paper that was done by some students that said that from what they interpreted that octopuses came from outer space. Now this did get published in a journal because there was it did meet the criteria, but it got published in the journal and then basically lambasted on by everyone who read it who was actually qualified to interpret the data. With a lot of the problem is that the team that was writing the paper wasn't really qualified to assess the data. And again, that's not saying that you can't. And again, I could publish a paper. Ethan could publish a paper. You don't have to have any kind of credentials to submit a paper for peer review. But it's going to have to hold up to the scrutiny of the experts in the field.
Okay. Question from Jade. And if you're not comfortable saying this, you don't have to. Where from the Midwest are you from? Close to South Dakota at all?
No, I'm not so close to South Dakota. I'm kind of on the other side. I'm closer to the Great Lakes than South Dakota.
Okay. And this is actually, if you could answer this and then expand on how you got into bugs. A silly question. If bugs had gods, what form of a bug would the god take? I vote tarantula.
It would probably be more like a termite queen or like a hornet queen or bee queen, something like that. Something in the Hymenoptera. What's that?
Why is that? Why would one of those?
So I have a little bit of an obsession with Hymenoptera, which is for anybody who doesn't know, it's wasp, hornets, bees, ants, these eusocial insects. Okay, and they have especially ants, but bees too, by extension. They had millions of years before humans even evolved. They had domesticated livestock. They had created agriculture. They had built these empires, these cities, and they were doing so all the way back to the Cretaceous. These insects are amazing, and they've been around for so long, and they beat us to the punch on just about everything. I think it was our thumbs that let us pass them up, or else they'd still be in charge of the planet. So if there was going to be a god for insects, I do believe it would take the form of a eusocial insect, and eusocial are the social insects, the Hymenoptera, and then there's also termites. Now, Blattodae is where termites fall. That's the cockroach family. So, surprise, termites are cockroaches.
Really? Is that why they're so hard to get rid of?
Well, yeah, that's genetic too within the clade. So definitely, so one of those two groups, and I do kind of lean towards the Hymenoptera, but that's because I love their aesthetics more than the cockroaches. But it would have been some kind of social insect, I think, that would rule over all of them.
All right, so who would win in a fight? A Goliath bird eater or a cat?
A cat.
Yeah. Even if the thing started shooting its hairs for the don't know, tarantulas, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have not all of them, but they have the ability to smack their butt and the hair, the barbs go flying like
Yes.
off in the air.
Yeah, she does that. Anytime I bump into this, she'll start kicking up hairs, and it'll be actually a cloud can come up out of there because it's vented on the top and and kind of swirls around in the air down here, and it'll irritate your eyes, your nose, your mouth. But yeah, as far as vertebrates go, I don't. Cat is probably too high of a level. I don't think that there's too many invertebrates that a house cat couldn't. Maybe a coconut crab could get a hold of one and probably do some damage. But most now, if that's not to say that the cat will not get bitten or stung or whatever by especially a centipede. Oh my gosh! Yeah. By the way, the answer is to the mightiest invertebrate, and I would argue pound for pound the mightiest creature in the animal kingdom is the centipede.
Really?
Yes.
Is that because it has so many legs, or is it like super strong?
Yeah.
Or what's the deal?
Yeah, it's all of the above. The centipede is basically has features of like a constrictor snake because they wrap around their prey. Venom like a venomous snake, so it's almost like a arthropod running on snake software.
Okay. If bugs were comparable to human size,
oh, hold on, give me just a second. I gotta fix this. It's cutting out a little bit.
For those watching, I do want to thank my top tier patrons. I always should have that list up. Sometimes I just forget to pull it up. If you do like what you're watching now, consider, if you're watching on Facebook, jump over to our Twitch at twitch.tv/YFNAtheist and subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/YFNAtheist, or just search your friendly neighborhood atheist. And these top tier patrons are Cindy Plaza, Kenneth, Leonard, Kathy Letto, JumpandShoot, Oz, Secular Rarity, Chianti and Fava Beans, Philip Leitch, Kaitlyn Beyond, Toast, Richard Gilliver, and Sunset Sarge. All of you are awesome. Thank you to every other patron who is contributing as well. Are you back?
Yep, I'm back.
I forgot what I was asking. Oh. If bugs were, like we see in the movies, if they were life-size, would we survive? Or if they were human size?
No, and again, it comes back to the ants. If insects were human size, this would just be ant world. There wouldn't be anything left. It would just be ant world. They'd be everywhere and they'd control everything. I don't think that with our modern technology, if ants were suddenly the size of people, that we would stand a chance.
Really?
Yeah, we would. I think that they would wipe us out pretty quickly.
Seriously? Even with our current technology?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's fascinating.
You got to remember that their biomass right now is we're the only species with more biomass than them right now, than ants. So if they were bigger, they would outnumber us thousands to one. I mean, they would overrun the planet and probably destroy the entire ecosystems everywhere, but they would definitely wipe us out.
Wow. So would they just disrupt the environment so much, or would they actually like maliciously kill us?
It would probably start off with the latter, and then it would move on to just wiping out whoever managed to escape by destroying the environment. And again, this is all my speculation inside my own brain. So yeah, I can't provide empirical proof that ants would defeat us, but
I want a peer-reviewed paper that shows how ants would take over the world.
Well, so I did a little video like last year about this time when I was opening my screens up. There was because there was a spider wasp stuck in the screen, and it was stuck in the screen fighting with the wolf spider. So I pulled them both out, and the wolf spider turned to dust as soon as I pulled it out. But not that spider wasp, because their armor, their chitin is so dense, and I don't know. I'm sure everyone has at some point in time tried to kill a wasp with a fly swatter or rolled up newspaper and saw how tough and resilient they are. Now multiply that times, to be the size. Now, of course, we're going to run into the square cube law. Don't get me started on that, because giant animals wouldn't work in our environment. The square cube law, what?
I didn't know. I'm puzzled.
That's it's basically that it's against like kaiju and giant robots and all the things you see in fiction, that they don't work, because there's a limit to how big an organism can be with its weight. Because your weight, it's not just, you double in size, you double in weight. You double in size, you quadruple in weight, and it just keeps going up.
Really?
Yeah. So once you get to a certain mass, there's no known biological substances that could support you at that size, or support an organism at that size.
What do you mean by that? Like, what happened if Godzilla was walking around right now?
Well, there's nothing that his body could be made of that would help him support himself, is the problem. So his bones would break, he would collapse under his own weight.
Wait, seriously?
So, yeah, that's why like the largest organisms that we see now are whales, because the water adds buoyancy and they can get bigger in that environment. Even with sauropods, here's something that's kind of related, that this may be news for all y'all. But sauropods had essentially like hollow bones, but they also had big air sacs in them to make them lighter. So like a bird, like an eagle that's the same size as a wolf. I don't know, you see like nature photography of them fighting over a deer or something. They're about the same size. But the eagle weighs like 25 pounds. The wolf weighs 100 pounds. It's because birds of the same size as a synapsid are much, much lighter because of their hollow bones and because of these air sacs. So even though the sauropods were so massive and huge, they didn't weigh all that much for how big they were.
I'm still bewildered. Like, because in my mind, it's okay, if you're getting bigger, your muscles are getting stronger. So to me, so if I grew to the size of Ant-Man, like or Giant Man in the Marvel comics, you're saying like everything would collapse?
Yeah, you would weigh so much more than, the Ant-Man has the PIM particles, why they get away with that. So they're actually increasing increasing and decreasing the mass as well. So that's why when he's so tiny, he can still punch like a full grown man, because it's actually shrinking down his mass and making him denser or less dense. So when Giant Man gets big, he's not as dense either. That's why they tried to kind of capture that in the movie, but where it was from his perspective, he was like kind of moving in slow motion a little bit.
I was just going to ask you that. Okay, why does that happen? In some movies, they'll all of a sudden show like this big thing moving way slower.
I guess it's to try to, if someone shrinks in a movie, they see normal sized people as moving slow and big.
Right.
I think it's supposed to give a sense of relativity. I don't know if that would actually be the real world experience if you were that big, that you'd feel like things were going slower, but it's just to give you that sense of relativity. Yeah, that's at least how it appears to me.
That's fascinating. I would actually, dude. We can go in. Are you an MCU fan or no?
I am, yeah.
Which is your favorite one?
What's my favorite movie or character? Or?
Which is your favorite character? And then which is your favorite movie?
My favorite character is Ant-Man.
I should have figured that. Wait, which version of Ant-Man though?
I actually like so I don't did you read the comic books and stuff?
No, but I do know some. Like there's Hank Pym, then there's Scott Lang, who took Hank Pym's comic, and then there's another one, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah, well, with just those two, and I'm not going to say anything about the MCU version of the character, but in the comic book character, Hank Pym's kind of a douche.
He is, man. He's like an abusive asshole.
Yeah, he's a spouse. He's abusive to Janet, and yeah, it's but so Scott Lang. Also, I love Paul Rudd. So
me too. The way he played this character is just, it's great. Like at first, when they originally said he was going to be Ant-Man, I'm like, dude, he doesn't act like, he's not Ant-Man. But then once I saw the trailer, I'm like, yeah, he's Ant-Man.
Yeah, I'm glad they decided to make him Lang instead of Pym too.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been a good Pym.
Yeah, he doesn't have the personality for it.
So tell us a little bit about your channel. So
well,
watching can go check it out.
Okay, so on my channel, I actually started my channel because of murder hornets. So if you want to know what started BrainBug, that's what it was. I needed to debunk a whole bunch of misinformation that people were saying about the Asian giant hornets, because murder hornets aren't a thing. It's just a nickname that people gave. No, it's a nickname people gave to Asian giant hornets, which is Vespa mandarina. Which are, then there's subspecies Vespa mandarina japanico, and they're a little bit bigger than the mainland ones. So truly Asian giant hornets is a giant. The Japanese ones are the biggest. So there's when they started finding them up in the Pacific Northwest, there was a lot of misinformation that was released and a lot of stuff that was sensationalized that wasn't accurate. And I jumped in to do that, and I enjoyed doing it so much that I decided to make another video about a mythical spider that was from Africa that they have there. It's kind of a cool story. There's only one specimen. And it's in the museum in London that's ever been found. No other individual. So it's a holotype, but it was found alive. And that's the cool thing, because most holotypes are fossils, where we only have one example of from a species. But it was this huge baboon spider that was I get off on these tangents, sorry.
No, it was a tangent away. Please continue.
It was this huge.
You get to talk as much as you want.
Yeah, so I have what I have back here is a bird eater, and she's pretty massive. Not the biggest species. This is Lasiodora parabana. There's only 2 species that are bigger than her. She's not full grown yet, but that's a huge spider. You can see that spider back there is massive.
When you say bird eater, is it a Goliath bird eater?
No, it's this is a salmon pink bird eater. Goliath is Theraphosa blondi. This is Lasiodora parabana. They're all South American species, though. And I'm sorry, I'm saying a bunch of big words at you. The thing with tarantulas is common names will apply to multiple species, so it's better to just get direct with it and learn those names. Anyway, I digress. So this bird eater, this one about this size is about the same size as this. It was called the Hercules baboon spider. Okay. And
sorry, I just wanted to say, why are they called bird eaters? Well,
it comes from early naturalists finding the first specimen of the Theraphosa actually eating a hummingbird just by happenstance. They'll eat anything that comes close to their hidey holes, but they're definitely not going to go out of their way to try to catch birds. They're fossorial, so they live mostly underground, so you won't find them in the branches. Now, avicularia, which is, I have a baby one back here, they get pretty big and they live in the branches. And actually the ave from avicularia, which we might hear the name pink toe tarantula, they're little black ones, they're arboreal, they live in trees. They're actually the ave from avicularia is birds. So they're actually the bird spider too, but they're called that because they're the closest thing that we have to a gliding spider.
What are some, we only have just a couple minutes, but what are some like misconceptions around spiders or tarantulas that we could perhaps break up?
Yeah. So for the most part, spiders in general are not going to hurt you. They don't want to hurt you. They're scared of you. They have that, oh, you're a giant, move in slow motion, probably at them too. So that spiders are dangerous. Very few. Don't go, poking at them, but definitely leave them to their business, and they're going to leave you to your business and help control the pest in the area. Now, when it comes to tarantulas, a lot of people make a mistake of thinking that all of them are the same. Different species, different genera. They're going to. That was an art error, huh? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, because they in even the cartoon, they lightly touched on Hank Pym being abusive.
Yeah, I know that they did when they revamped it into the Ultimate Marvel series too. They really doubled down on it. They made her a mutant too. Anyway, so New World tarantulas are generally the ones that you can handle. You don't want to handle any kind of Old World tarantulas. No earth tigers. No baboons. No whistlers. You don't want to hold any of those. I know Ethan has a funny story about a baboon spider.
Yeah,
I've heard it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, long story short, my uncle always had a bunch of tarantulas. He got a king baboon, and this thing was just like when he would walk in the room, it would be pacing in its cage. It was wild. One day he calls me at like 4 a.m, almost in tears, like, dude, I left the cage open and the tarantula's not there. So I went back to his place. We had to tear it apart for like 10 hours. Like, we're just terrified that it was going to get us. But he lived in a Chicago loft. So it had cracks and crevices everywhere. And we never found it. And needless to say, he ended up staying at our place for like 2 months because he was so scared to sleep at home and get bitten by it.
And that's the biggest one. That Hercules baboon spider is the only baboon spider that's ever been bigger than it, but it was rivaled the bird eaters in size. It's so cool that they only ever found one of them. That was my other video was about. So I just started doing more and more science, more like content, like on bug science basically, and then started getting into interviewing different people about different secular topics, and now people want me to kind of engage with directly with the pseudoscience, which I love to do. I like to just dig right into it. I've been doing that on like Facebook and Twitter for years.
You're good at it, man. You're really good at it.
Yeah, it's well, I try. I'm getting better all the time. I've been knocked around quite a bit. Forgot to well, I have forgotten to close. Oh, you can't see it. It's off camera. This one over here, but she's pretty friendly. So when these two get out, it's not that big of a deal. I got lots of little spiders they're slow, and New World tarantulas. I got a couple of new ones that I'm going to show you sometime, Ethan. But I just need to do a spider stream and just have all my spider fans come on. And
well, do you want to show off like one of your favorite bugs before we get out of here?
well, I've had this ghost mantis sitting on the mic the whole time. They're kind of small.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, and this camouflage, especially against my brown shirt. But he's been sitting there just eating his mealworm. Okay, before I go, let me know, scorpion or tarantula?
Ooh, scorpion.
Scorpion?
Yes.
Okay.
Trigger warning to anyone watching, you're about to see a scorpion. And I can't be responsible if Brian gets like right now. That's on him.
If I get stung, it'll be first time I've ever been stung by a scorpion, but this scorpion is so sweet that I don't think she would ever sting me. But before I get her out, just because I don't want it to have a feeding response to our little friend here on the microphone, I'm going to put this guy away. So I'm going to go off camera for just a second because I need to mute.
Sure. So everyone, I, on my YouTube channel, every Tuesday host a show called The Perspective, where each week we'll bring on different hosts and tackle paranormal and supernatural claims, conspiracy theories, belief in aliens, Bigfoot, pretty much any claim people want to bring to us, and we will apply a skeptic's perspective. Every Thursday, which is as today, after my show, after this show, I have two shows. So at 9 p.m. on my YouTube channel, it's going to be the pickup line where we talk dating, relationships, and sex. Tonight's topic is how to recover from a long-term relationship. I surprisingly might have some valuable insight on that topic because I spent 12 years with the same partner. So hopefully I can contribute meaningfully to that conversation. And then every Sunday, I have a show with Jenna Belk on mental health. It's youtube.com/the Ethan and Jenna show. And then what I should have had ready is my list of people that are now booked for Ask an Atheist. Sometimes I do I need to be more prepared. Okay, so next Thursday is going to be Rudy B. Thursday after is going to be Secular Rarity. The Thursday after that is going to be Jake the Atheists. After that is going to be Katie. Why am I totally blanking on her last name now? Katie, one of the producers from the ACA. Then the week after that is going to be Tanjil, another ACA member. So pretty excited. If there's any atheists you want me to interview, let me know in the comments section. That is terrifying, Brian.
Sorry, these headphones are crap. They keep cutting out on me every time I move my arm.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Can you see it? This is a young emperor scorpion. Not fully grown, you can see, because the Telson has still got that white area to it. I know it's a little blurry, but as they gets more mature, that'll turn darker. So this is still a young juvenile specimen. I do have a larger forest scorpion, but it's got a bad attitude. But this little lady likes to try to climb up my sleeves when I give her a chance to.
All right, Brian, we got to get out of here. Where can everyone check you out at?
Here's on my chest.
Oh my God, that thing's running everywhere.
She's all over the place. Yeah, she gets all wound up. Yeah, she's an excitable little thing.
Aw. Okay, it is kind of cute.
The best way to hold a arthropod, by the way, is to kind of just keep laying your hands back and forth, and eventually they'll tire themselves out. But yep, that's Emperor Scorpion. I'm glad I got to share that with you guys. And if you like seeing someone handle bugs and talk about science and try to learn how to understand some of the terminology and stuff used in science, subscribe to the BrainBug YouTube channel, because that's what I'm all about.
Awesome. Well, Brian, thanks for sitting down with us this week, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their weekend. And go, if you're watching now, jump over to YouTube, because in 10 minutes we are going to start the pickup line with Hannah Vaughn. Good night, everyone.